Today on Third Rate Content, Hillforts and Giants at the Wrekin, Shropshire. So welcome back to Third Rate Content. Today we're going to be walking up the 15th biggest peak in Shropshire. Might not sound like much, but it's one of Shropshire's biggest and most well-known landmarks. Of course, it's the Wrekin. You might have already worked that out. We're going to be making our way right up to the summit. We did come up here a long time ago, very early days of Third Rate Content, but it isn't really a whoopee. It's a recounting of the Wrekin with 4K filming technology as opposed to the iPhone 7 that we did it on last time. And hopefully you want to watch that video. It's still on the channel, but this will be the definitive third rate visit to the Wrekin. So buckle up and I'll see you out here. The Urkel, the Wrekin and the Little Wrekin are the northerly salient of the Shropshire Hills. Yeah, just at the start of today's walk, got this really old, what I think is a telephone exchange box possibly, or an electric box of some kind. It's very old. The Wrekin shares a couple of things in common with the Stipestones. We had a recent video there and I'll tell you what they are. They both have rock formations known as the Needle's Eye. Both rock formations have myths and legends attached to them, and we'll be visiting the one on the summit of the Wrekin today. Both the Wrekin and the Stipestones are part of the Shropshire Hills, but both hills have in common that they've both appeared in Half Man, Half Biscuit songs. The Wrekin is mentioned in Rod Hull is Alive, Why? And the Stipestones was mentioned in Descent of the Stipestones. Semi-interesting fact. And Half Man, Half Biscuit are a Wirral-based kind of post-punk or alternative punk group. Tell me in the comments exactly what they are if you know. Because I will say Half Man, Half Biscuit do have a very loyal following, and they do have the Half Man, Half Biscuit lyrics project, which makes for pretty interesting reading, and I used it a bit for some research on the Snail Beach Mines video. But I think you've made it as far as regarding social history if you can make it onto that esteemed website. In my opinion, of course. Just over my shoulder here, sort of 3/4 way, halfway up the Wrekin, we've got some ruins here. Not sure what they're from. We'll have a little bit of a closer look, I think. Yeah, I don't know if this was like a sheep croft or some sort of rural farming structure, but most definitely not in use now. Because the Wrekin was the home a long time ago, after the Norman conquest, to a hermit known as Gilbert, and the Wrekin, sort of not one of its later names was Mount Gilbert, given to it by Normans who used this area and used the Wrekin and the forest around it as a hunting area, obviously post-conquest. Yeah, just behind me is what is known as the halfway house, which is allegedly exactly halfway from the base of the Wrekin to the summit. But the first time I came up here, which was about 2010, quite late on in my life, but it was an actual cafe, sold ice creams and stuff in the summer months. I don't know if it still does that now, but it's been completely refurbished. Looks like holiday lets or Airbnbs. I did actually speak to a chap off camera, and he says that the property is for sale. There is a prospective buyer in the offing, and he says he hopes that the buyer is going to continue it as a snack concession place as well as Airbnbs, but he's not 100% sure, of course. The 2020 Ubisoft video game Assassin's Creed Valhalla features the Wrekin as one of its many locations. It actually features Shropshire, the Wrekin and Mitchell's Fold. I've just got this game and I haven't actually visited the sites in game yet, but the Wrekin is called the Wrekin in the game. Mitchell's Fold keeps its name. The Wrekin being what the Wrekin would have been called during the game's time period, which was the Viking invasions of Britain. The Wrekin telecommunications station has stood in its present location since 1975. And you can only see the mast on top of it. There's an actual building partially submerged into the hill underneath it. The Wrekin is formed from some of the oldest rocks in Shropshire, or in the region, the West Midlands. And the rocks are between 545 and 510 million years old. The hill was formed from lava and ash, even though the Wrekin is not actually an extinct volcano, as some believe, but it was formed in the Coheed and Cambrian period. LOL, I didn't actually mean to say that, but oh well. It was the Cambrian period. I'm showing my age a bit there. Yeah, history states that the Hillforts here at the Wrekin was established by the Celtic Cornoville tribe in the Bronze Age, in the 1st century AD, although this date does sound pretty late for the establishment of a hill fort, only 100 years or so before the Romans invaded Britain. Prominent hill like this is me speculating, I would think it had been in use for a long time, but perhaps that is when the artifacts, bones and ruins that have been dug up here date back to. So it's the latest date that we've got confirmation, but like I said, I think the Wrekin would have been in use for ages before that date. Rock here underfoot, it's all pitted and it's almost like concrete, goes right up to the summit. It looks well used, which I imagine it is. The Wrekin has been in use for thousands of years, and it's been a mega popular dog walking location for probably the last 100. So it's getting used every single day, which is great. Of course, a hard surface for driving, the vehicles needed for servicing the equipment, telecommunications equipment up on the summit of the Wrekin are much needed. We're just looking at Heaven's Gate here, one of the two earthworks that make up the bookends of the Hillfort, being Hell's Gate and Heaven's Gate. It always seems to be, though, that pre-Christian sites always get named with concepts that they had very little or nothing to do with in their actual time periods. Hell, heaven, the devil. These are just names that the Christians gave them afterwards because everything they couldn't understand had to be to do with the devil or hell. Although we haven't got the wonderful views, it's really atmospheric and very good of the Wrekin to put on this display that when you walk through the gate, you're in a completely different world to the one you were literally just steps before. Shrouded in mist and mystery. The fog has descended on top of the Wrekin. It's pretty atmospheric up here now. Can't get the full view of Shropshire. It was lovely on the way up, but the village would have surrounded us. I think it covered 20 acres. Can't even see the telemast now. It's right there, I think. It's literally not. Oh no, it's there, look. Shrouded in the mist. But the Cornoville tribe were bosses of this area, and their fortifications would have been all around here. Palisades of wood, probably some rock, but really their name would have stopped anyone attacking them because they were warlike, populous and successful. That was until the Romans came and basically put them in check. There's a lot of satellite dishes and receivers and all that kind of thing on top of there, as well as the actual Wrekin beacon, the iconic Wrekin beacon. I hope I'm not being too fanciful, but it's on days like this that you can almost see the dead of the Cornoville tribe standing all around us. When the Romans came calling, they would have stamped their approval on this hill fort, e.g. they would have slain men, women and children to stamp their authority on the region and on Britain. Once this was done, things settled down and taxes were being paid. The Romans would be benevolent, but up until that point, they were literally brutal. Yeah, I was hearing like a strange wind chime sound while I was up here. It's feeling quite atmospheric, and I thought, well, is it some sort of ghost or something? But no, it is actually a Christmas tree, fully decorated and trimmed. And it's here on the 29th of November. It's 1st of December tomorrow, so very timely placed here. And some say Christmas tree is the modern equivalent of the tree of paradise. The tree of paradise used in plays performed on the 24th of December in the medieval period. Trees with apples, decorated with apples. I do wonder, when these trees were planted, is it a case of this is someone's old tree from 2022 and then these are ones from years previous? I just don't know. If anybody does know, tell us in the comments, please. And thank you. But the ones at the front are really small, and I don't think trees grow backwards. On a clear day, you would be able to see Wrekin somewhere around here, but it's not a clear day. You just have to take my word for it. But after the Romans cleared off the Cornoville tribe from the Wrekin, they moved everything down to Wrekin, just down at the bottom of the Wrekin. And there they made a very, very large garrison that became a town. I think the fourth largest Roman town in Britain at that time. So the hill fort went out of use. When the Romans, some hundreds of years later, did leave Britain, Wrekin fell into disuse. And then it was taken over once again by the Celts. I don't know if it was the Cornoville tribe, but it was used as a defensive staging post against the Saxon invasions post-Roman era. And that is, of course, until the Saxons moved. The Celts, who some say the leader of them was King Arthur and his wife Guinevere at that time. Then they were moved again by the Saxons to Shrewsbury, 20 miles away, where they refortified that, or fortified it, and made it into what was known as Penguern. We have talked about it on previous videos. But like the fog today, the fog of history is thick, and it's almost impenetrable when you get so far back, because it's my belief, my speculation, that the Wrekin was used for so far back that we have once again got layers upon layers of history that we do cover here on Third Rate Content, and that we're so lucky to have an abundance of in Shropshire and the UK in general. Talking of wheeled transport, when I was doing the research for the Wrekin, I did read a comment. Someone said they remembered their father driving his Austin, they couldn't remember what model, but his Austin car right up the Wrekin, and everyone was applauding him as they got up there. I don't think it would go down so well driving a car up the Wrekin today, but it's a funny story. Yeah, and that would have been in the 1950s, so quite a long time ago now. This is the tricky point, and it's a very, very decorative tricky point at that, yeah. Just up here on the summit, and this is a sort of guide of what you can see from up here. And of course, what would be any good site of ancient usage without a giant legend?
Over the many, many years, the Wrekin's presence as Shropshire's best known landmark has inspired powerful stories. And according to Roy Palmer's The Folklore of Shropshire, there was once a cannibal giant, identified by some as Gwendol Wrekin ap Shenkin ap Mwendimoir.
It's easy for you to say.
He held off from attacking Shrewsbury only as long as the townspeople would send him regular supplies of young women. After giving the giant a herbal brew, which sent the giant to sleep, one intended victim escapes. Back in Shrewsbury, she tells how she had seen the bones of her forerunners, and the citizens resolved to send no more sacrificial victims. Incensed at being defied, the giant fills a giant shovel with earth and sets out to bury the town. He is unsure of the way and asks directions of a cobbler he meets at Haygate near Wellington. The man shows the bag of shoes he is carrying home to be mended and says he has worn them all out on the long walk home from Shrewsbury. The giant is taken aback. He lowers the shovel and part of the earth slides off and forms the Urkel. Most of the rest becomes the Wrekin. He shakes off the last of it and makes the little Wrekin. Still angry, he starts again from Charlton's Hill with a fresh shovelful, but he fords the Severn, falls in and drowns. And that was the end of Shenkin ap Wrekin, the giant and eater of humans. And there is a stone up here at the summit of the Wrekin called the Bladder Stone, named by some the Balder's Stone, and it is thought to be named after the Norse god, which is interesting because with the Wrekin being in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is set in the Viking age, that is an overhang from those times and shows a continued relevance and usage throughout the ages. It's probably just me, but it feels like being in a Hawkwind album cover up here at the Wrekin today.
Visibility is at 0 up here at the moment, but I just thought I'd put it out there. J.R. Tolkien, the author of Lord of the Rings, lived very nearby to the Wrekin in Penkridge, and he used to walk up the Wrekin often, and the landscape was an inspiration for Lord of the Rings. The Shire in Shropshire and the hills, South Shropshire hills of Shropshire, obviously, spread out just down from here, and we visited quite a few this year on Third Rate Content. But that's why it does make me laugh somewhat when I see, and I don't blame them, but when I see New Zealand saying, visit New Zealand, home of Lord of the Rings. It isn't the home of the Lord of the Rings. Britain is the home of the Lord of the Rings, in particular Shropshire. I mean, Mordor is just near Oswestry, so I mean, what more do you need? Proof that this is the landscape that inspired Tolkien. And we wouldn't have Lord of the Rings if it wasn't for it. And here we are, visiting it today, and my nose is going really red because it's gone really, really cold up here in the mist.
And legends of 2 more giants who were exiled and for a stronghold piled up the Wrekin with soil dug from the bed of the Severn, making a trench through which the river still flows. Their footprints along the top cause bare patches that have never since become grass grown. In a quarrel, one threw at the other his spade, which, missing him, cleft the bladder stone and formed the needle's eye. Whilst the fight was going on, a raven pecked at the eye of one, and the ensuing tear scooped out the raven's bowl, where it has never since dried up. The other giant now got the better of him, of the teardrop, and heaped on top of him the Urkel, under which the blind monster still moans at night.
And just behind me is the Needle's Eye, somewhere in there. You have to walk through that. We did do it on our visit a long time ago. Through it, we're not going to do today, it's quite icy underfoot, and I think that would be dangerous, especially when I'm on my own. But apparently you become a true Slopian if you walk through it. Like I said, I did it last time, but I didn't know the full legend that you can only become a true Slopian if you're born in Shropshire. I'm not born in Shropshire, so it doesn't matter how many times I walk through the Needle's Eye. I'll never be a true Slopian. So thank you for watching to the end of today's Third Rate Content. It's been another fascinating one. Beautiful scenery, all very atmospheric, foggy scenery at the top. History, folklore, legends. So thank you for watching to the end. If you did enjoy, would you think about leaving a like, subscribing and hitting the notification bell, staying updated on all Third Rate Content's goings on. And if you like, leave a comment. I do love a good comment, and I reply where applicable. God, my lips are getting cold now. Where applicable and all that. So thanks for watching. If I don't see you soon, I'll see you 3 times as soon. Third Rate Content, sign out. Bye bye.